This episode of Tokyo Ghoul Route A felt like the Tokyo Ghoul that I loved from season 1. And coincidentally, what have I been saying? We needed Kaneki to talk. And this episode he actually talked a bit. And what do you know? The episode was a great fucking episode. We had so much going on in this episode. And I loved it. I felt like I was the same feeling I had with almost each and every episode of season 1 of Tokyo Ghoul I had with this episode, and that's because I've said this many different times in my manga reviews, episode reviews. Tokyo Ghoul is at its most interesting when it focuses on the ghouls and what their life is like and what they're going through right now. When it goes to the inspectors, it's setting up exposition for future wars and, future plot points or whatnot, but the ghoul side of it is what I think, honestly, most of us legitimately love and interests us the most, especially me in particular. So an episode like this, not only was it a great episode overall, but just enjoyable. It really just felt like that flow that this first season or just earlier parts had, where it flowed very nicely and everything went smoothly, and it just really Tokyo Ghoul, let's go. So for starters, you get to see yet again Kaneki. He's going through it, he's losing himself, and I just love how it gets really philosophical, where it's like, I haven't been eating ghouls, they've been eating me this entire time, and it's symbolic of just what he's been going through, how he feels as though the inner ghoul of who he is eating at him alive, and he was once a human, and the ghoul side of him has ate his human side, so it was kind of being symbolic in that sense, but just overall, it yet again shows how much he's been broken down, and I really wish we would have, of course, like I said in my last review, get more of him talking, but at the same time, it just shows how much of a tortured soul he is, and how alone he truly feels, and going to the Touka scene, which I'll talk about in a second, it just goes to show how much he's branched off and how much he's changed overall. And then him going to visit Yoshimura. Yoshimura honestly feels like he's such a good fatherly figure. I mean, everything he's done for Kaneki up until this point, bringing him in, helping him out, and even still to this day, like, he's just such an awesome character that he's still telling him, come back to Anteku. We will welcome you with open arms. Just come back. But Kaneki just wants to defend them and protect them from afar. And it's kind of, to a certain degree, I know I always bring up a reference here or there to something, but reminds me of Itachi. He rather sacrifice himself and go through hell just to make sure that the people he cares about and loves is going to be alright. And I swear on everything, I don't, when I'm by myself, just hysterically laugh when I'm watching something. I might grin, I might go, I was dying when Tsukiyama showed up and he just kept on with the napkin. Oh, it's this word, it's that word, I love Tsukiyama. Tsukiyama is the fucking most hilarious, most genius character. Everything about him, his swag, when he speaks the English words mixed up with the Japanese and he's trying to be French all at the same time, he is fucking awesome. And this episode just yet again showing that he is not giving up his obsession with Kaneki Ken, where he's like, I'm still going to gather information. I'm still looking for him. I don't give a fuck. I need him. I love Tsukiyama, and this episode having a big dose of him is what really kicked it in. I would honestly say this entire season, the character that has been the most faithful and just really given that vibe has been Tsukiyama. Tsukiyama is the one thing where I can say he's the constant that throughout the entire season I have had absolutely no problems with his character. He hasn't been boring. He hasn't been anything other than the Tsukiyama that we know and fucking adore. And I ain't gonna lie, I kind of got the creeps when he took out Hinami. Not that he's like a sexual deviant or anything. He wouldn't do anything like that, but it's just like, Tsukiyama, at the end of the day, while it's funny, we know what type of creep he really is. He wants to fucking eat Kaneki while Kaneki eats. Like, he's a nut job. So with him being with Hinami there, and then like he steps off for a second, and coincidentally Akatsuki comes in and starts talking to her or whatever, which Akatsuki, there's something definitely very, suspicious about Akatsuki with what happens later on and whatnot. But nonetheless, it was just a weird scene to see Tsukiyama and Hinami there. And I think this was building up on Hinami's character as well, which is another plus. Like, this episode did a lot of different things. It was building up on who she wants to be, who she truly cares for. The scenes where she's tucking in Touka, putting the blanket on her, watching over her, thinking about what she can do for Kaneki. It's showing the maturing of her little by little, which is a good thing for the character, because as a little girl, there's not really much you can do a lot of the time with a little girl. Like, what can you really do? She can't really fight or whatever, but to see that her character is being developed, even if it's slightly like that, I enjoy it. And this is the episode where all the stuff where we kind of were like a little iffy about Touka, like, we don't care about the college life and everything, just seeing how motivated she is, I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed it. And just to see with regardless of what, you know, she's passionate about the college stuff. I'm gonna fucking kick college's ass. I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna blend in with society. The moment Hinami shows up and says, Big Brother is here, she doesn't give a fuck. And that goes to show that at the end of the day, she loves him. And I think one thing I will say that the anime has done better is I like the dynamics and more of the showing of their relationship in the anime than the manga. Because in the manga, there's little hints of it, but in the anime, it full-blown shows she loves this motherfucker. The soundtracks, they do this every episode, and I love it too. Those sad soundtracks that come on, it really just plays very well with the emotion and the scene itself. And that scene when she met up with Kaneki is probably one of the best scenes this entire season. When she faced him and told him something, it was really just a realization to the character. You're not doing this for us. You're doing this for yourself at the end of the day. You're selfish. You're doing this because it makes you feel better and it makes you have this weird ideology and try to be some tragic hero. And if you notice with the punching, it wasn't just the stereotypical bullshit of like, oh, you baka. It had a lot more impact than that. That was her right there trying to prove you can't protect us. How are you trying to protect us when you can't protect yourself? But she fails to realize Kaneki has grown. He can defend himself very well now, and he can defend you guys. So to see ultimately that he even can defend himself now, she can't do anything. She uses any tactic, even if it's verbally, to make him go off his guard and still get a punch in there to try and prove her point. You can't protect us. But in reality, she knows that he's very strong now. He's not the same weak guy that came to Tokyou begging for food, looking for anything, you know, to help him through his troubles. He's not the same guy. So it's just really an intense and deep situation there. And it's far more than the typical, you baka. And that's what I loved about that scene. And again, I think that's the best scene all season long thus far. Of course, having that interview with Shinohara and Juzo again, Akatsuki, there's something very fishy. I think anybody can tell, but I'll be spoiler free about it. And just seeing like what she was saying, asking those questions about the organs and whatnot. I mean, it's clear indication she's talking about Kaneki. Like, come on, anybody with a brain can see it. And the anime doesn't really go into this stuff like the manga. I'll explain one other thing. That little thing that they walked by, there's like a little security thing in the manga. Explains that they have these things that can detect the cells in people, and ghouls aren't supposed to be able to pass through there, because if they pass through there, it'll immediately sound off or whatever. So Akatsuki walked right through there. It didn't go off. But she did give them hints about Tokyou as well, and coincidentally, that's right after Kaneki went to visit Tokyou. So a lot of mystery being there. And then when they showed up at the end of the day, it's like things is brewing, a huge setup, and overall this was just a great episode. Great fucking episode. It really felt like how much I love Tokyo Ghoul Season 1, and if we could get more of this and focus more on the ghouls and less on the inspectors, we'll be golden. 9 out of 10 for this bad boy. Really love this episode, and it just really, it hit me right here in the feels, bro. But let me know what you thought of this episode. How did you feel about this? All the mysteries that I just spoke of. What did you think? And do you think that that was the best scene this entire season thus far, with Touka and Kaneki reuniting and just seeing the impact of their relationship? And your overall thoughts. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that'd be amazing. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.